Welcome to the fun-filled face pot wearing a hat video. So I'm doing this in reverse. I'm going to put the pieces together, and then at the end I'm going to throw the parts. So first, I'm just going to kind of start with I'll go off of using the corner of the bat here, like a reference point. I'm going to emphasize this sort of chin area. Smooth off there a little bit. Alright, chin. So then you're going to want to get like a nose for kind of like a guidance area. So I'm just sort of pushing out. When you're doing a nose, you give it each nostril, give it the middle part, give a bridge. I like to give the nostrils sort of like some holes with one of these tools. Then kind of push out a little bit on the eyes. I mean, there's a bunch of different kind of faces and things you can go for, depending how thick you have the clay and how much you have to work with. Let's see, come back in here and kind of do the lips somewhere above the chin area. So, center. And some pupils on the eyes. Maybe some eyebrows there. And you could go all around the pot and just do how much you want. Let's see, let's give them some cheekbones. Get some cheekbones. Alright, yeah. Oh man, his eyes are kind of far apart. Look at that. Let's see. Make him kind of bigger if I zoom in. Alright, close enough. But I mean, so we got the one face here I'm just doing for the demo. But of course you could go around and do a bunch of faces all over the thing if you wanted to make them all fun. You can add clay to it, but that's just, real quick, just pushing clay away. Sometimes it's, I'll come back in here real quickly, see if I can do this in camera. So just give it some, kind of help emphasize some eyeballs, sort of. Can give him his eyebrows. Alright, yeah, that's enough. Alright, let's give him his hat. So here we got the hat over here. It's made already. Grab a wire tool. Of course, score it. You gotta score it a little bit here. tool. So yeah, that looks good. Let's go to the bottom of the hat. Little rhyme or reason to it. Kind of looks better when it has like a little wobble to it, I think. And brush. Alright, score and slip on the sides. And oh no, this hat doesn't really. Should have made the hat bigger. I don't know about that hat. Alright, well, I'm gonna make the hats bigger. Aesthetically, his hat is off. That's what we got though. So you just gotta work with the hat you got. He's got kind of a big forehead, I think. He's got this giant forehead. That's what this guy's problem is. Alright, so let's try to cover that up by giving him some hair or something. Just test Slippy with this like shaggy hair. There we go. I don't know. Yeah, give him some hair. That works. Alright, so notes are don't give him such a big forehead and make his hat bigger. That's kind of what we're going for. So there's the guy with the hat. Now I'm going to throw the pieces real quick. And the back. There's the guy with the hat. Taking over your wheel there. Let's see, can you see him? Alright, this is about 3 pounds and maybe 3 ounces or so. Settle this thing. Open it up. Clean up the inside real quickly. Alright, and we're going for a cylinder. Guessed it. I'm using the bats because you want to kind of let it set up a little bit if you can. And I only had that outside for 30 minutes before I put it all together. 35 minutes. So you got time to do it all in one shot when the weather's like this. Got ourselves a cylinder. It's about as far as I need to go. if it's really thick, it doesn't get it doesn't show up that well when you're like pressing the face into it. So you want to have it maybe quarter of an inch thick to 3/8 or so. You don't want it too thick when you're doing that. So throw a nice cylinder. And then really all you're doing on the way up, you just kind of think about, okay, I'm going to press out a little bit here at the bottom for the chin. Leave a little space. I kind of didn't leave enough space for the mouth, so there's your little mouth area. This is going to be the nose area. Nose up into an eyeball area. Into a brow area, so eyeball, eyebrow, into this big forehead. So now I know that I want a smaller forehead, so I'm just going to cut off the extra clay. Which means for a piece like this big, I could have gotten away with about 3 pounds of clay, I think. Or even slightly less. Of course, kind of clean up the bottom. Just a note, when I'm pulling up on these bats, sometimes, depending on how hard you're pulling, I don't know if you noticed in the video, you'll see that I was holding the edge of the bat down with my pinky while I made the pull, because it's just so easy to kind of pull one of these bats right off when you're lifting it up like that on this thing. It's just a thing when you're throwing like a bigger piece. This isn't even that big of a piece, but when you're putting a lot of pressure on one of these smaller bats, they can lift off the wheel easier. So, if you wanted to, you also could have smoothed off everything before you made those ridges, but I just kind of like that one's left sort of raw. Should make them smile more too. That should be a note. Make them smile more. Get them smiling. Alright, and the hat. I'm going to make the hat bigger. That's what we learned on the first one. So you're basically making this big upside down funnel when you're making the hat. So go for a big upside down funnel shape. That's big enough. I'm going to make the hat a little wider than what it should be, so I'm not even going to bother to measure this. I can just kind of eyeball close enough that this should fit on there. Pull. Just going to start getting under here, lifting out. So when I did that, when I lifted up this edge, when I opened it up, I started in the middle how you'd always would, but I'm all the way through. And because I'm all the way through, I can almost pull the wall in one move. It's not like you're opening it up, you're just creating this whole wall because you're all the way through it. You just press with this hand into this hand, and I've just got one sideways wall in here now when you open it up. Same thing, I got my pinky kind of holding the edge of this bat down when I make the pull. I don't really have this problem with the bigger bats, but I'm making these smaller pieces, so I just don't want like this big giant bat for these small little pieces. And you're going for a volcano kind of shape at first. And we're just, you're making a cylinder, but a very small, tiny kind of cylinder, the neck of the base. And then you're gonna, so you kind of have this almost like the Simpsons power plant shape. So then you go for the Homer Simpson, choke it, move this neck. And of course you can do this in any proportion you want. You want like a big, giant, tall, long, obnoxious neck or something, or just some tiny little man bun of a neck, you know. Just kind of keep working the clay in slowly. It starts to get out of control. You just grab it, center it. Like, just give it a little edge so you have somewhere when you run the wire under it, so it's to kind of catch it. And the same thing when when you go to put this all together, you don't want some really tiny thin edge. Just sort of work it with the sponge a little bit to thicken it up, so you don't have some sharp little thin edge. Cause that'll break and chip and crack and all that stuff. Regular hat here, but I always like to give these things a swirl.